Where's that money going to come from? We're borrowing 40 plus cents on the dollar that we spend today. We're going to borrow more money from China to pay that $2 trillion bill? And the president told us that our seniors, everybody would be able to keep their own doctor. We're seeing 1 in 3 physicians restrict and limit the number of Medicare patients that they are seeing because they can't afford to keep their practices open with the reimbursement rates that they get back from Medicare. And we'll talk about Medicare in a minute. And then you've got the 15-member unelected panel in Washington, D.C. that are going to make health care decisions. They are going to determine the types of treatment you can have, who gets what types of treatment. Because I don't know who in this room doesn't think that as we begin to drive practitioners out of the industry and we have fewer doctors to provide our health care coverage, they're going to have to make some decisions about who gets what. I certainly do not want unelected bureaucrats in Washington making those decisions about my health care. I want to have those decisions made between my doctor and me. And that's what I want for my children. That's what I want for my family. I've got an 80-year-old mother that's dependent upon Medicare and Social Security. So I can relate to the fears that America's seniors have today. I want to talk a little bit about Medicare specifically. There are 2 plans for Medicare going around Washington right now. One plan is to do nothing, take $500 billion out of it, and let it go bankrupt in 2024. And ration health care as providers leave the industry through that unelected 15 unelected bureaucrat panel in Washington, D.C. That's plan number 1. Plan number 2 is the plan that I have supported that guarantees that seniors, those that are 55 years of age and older, keep their current Medicare coverage with no decrease and that it remains fully funded. Let me say that again. 55 years of age and older will not lose under my plan, under the plan that I have supported, will not see any decrease in their Medicare coverage. And it will remain viable because we're going to strengthen and preserve it for future generations. What does strengthen and preserve it for future generations mean? Well, I just told you just a few minutes ago it's going to go bankrupt by 2024 if we don't do something. We want future generations to have the same kind of choices for health care that, say, members of Congress have. The ability to choose the plan that's right for them with premium support. They get to choose what type of plan they want. A plan that says that, and you're going to hear this throughout this year, you're going to hear those that will say that people like me is choosing billionaires over seniors, and that we're trying to take and change and end Medicare as we know it. Nothing could be further from the truth, because the plan that I supported says that millionaires and the wealthy get less support, and the poor and the high risk get more support. That kind of levels the playing field. It begins to eliminate the fraud, waste, and abuse out of the Medicare program. But most importantly, it provides that vital safety net for future generations. Something that will not happen if we don't do something now. So I want to make sure everybody knows. Protect Medicare for current seniors, those 55 of age and older, and make sure we have that vital safety net for future generations. That's the plan that I support, as opposed to the plan that the administration supports, which takes $500 billion out of it. $200 billion of that came out of Medicare Advantage, which hurt over 25,000 people all along the Ohio River that are dependent upon their Medicare Advantage health care. So that's Medicare. And when we get into the questions, I'll be glad to answer those questions. Let's talk about Social Security for a second. For years, bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. have raided the Social Security Trust Fund to pay for their pet projects. I've supported a piece of legislation called the Social Security Protection Act, which basically puts a lockbox on it and prevents Washington from being able to dip into the Social Security Trust Fund. See, I don't like the term entitlement. And I don't believe that most seniors like the word entitlement, because most seniors feel like that's a promise that was made to them and they paid into those programs, both Social Security and Medicare. I think Washington has a responsibility to stand up and honor the commitments that it made to our seniors and to the American people. And that's why I support strengthening and preserving these programs and keeping Washington's hand out of the till. I keep saying next chart. We've sent, this chart says 27, it's actually a little more than that. Jobs and the economy are one of the most important things on the minds of the American people. Certainly one of the most important things on the minds of the people here in OH06 Congressional District, where all along the Ohio River unemployment is well above the national average. When you see reports out of Washington that says the unemployment rate is 8.2%, first of all, remember, the President promised us that we would never see unemployment above 8% if we signed on to his stimulus package when he first came into office. We've never seen unemployment below 8%. And most of the time it's hovered around 9%, more often than not in excess of 9%. But that's not even the real unemployment number, because it doesn't factor in all the people that have given up hope and left the workforce. Take a guess, and you're not allowed to guess because you've already seen one of these presentations today. Take a guess at how many Americans are out of work today that have given up on trying to find a job. They're not included in that because they've simply given up. They've stopped looking. 88 million Americans. 88 million Americans. That's a lot of people, folks, that have given up on the American dream. I don't believe for a second that the American dream is dead. I believe that Americans can do anything. I believe if we had a true all of the above energy policy, one that says we're going to go after our own oil, the vast volumes of natural gas that sit right underneath us here in eastern and southeastern Ohio, we're sitting on top of the world's largest volume of that. We've got enough coal in this country to fuel America's energy needs for generations yet to come. We've got the capability to expand our nuclear footprint, and we can even invest in wind and solar to find out where they fit in niche markets. Wind and solar today cannot solve all of our energy needs. We already know that. Our nation gets nearly 50% of its energy from coal. The state of Ohio gets nearly 87% of its energy from coal. And yet this administration has both a frontal and a flanking attack on coal, going after the coal industry itself through onerous regulations designed to shut down coal operations, things like rewriting the stream buffer zone rule that's going to undermine and cut production of coal by upwards of 50% across this country, cut upwards of 27,000 jobs. And then they're also affecting the market for coal. So even those coal operators that can still get past the regulatory burden, they're seeing fewer and fewer customers. I've had coal operators call me and say, Bill, we've got to do something. I'm having coal contracts canceled right and left. What are we going to do?